Hi there, this is Judy Crow. I am an artist that lives in Texas, and I occasionally make short videos on how to paint something, a demonstration, quick demonstration, or um, how-to videos on how to do um, certain things, such as stretch a canvas or prepare a canvas for painting on. So today I'm here. I thought I would do a little demonstration of this old crock and a couple of onions. And you can see it just barely in your screen there. However, occasionally I will switch to this other camera that I have on the subject so you can kind of see a little bit better what I'm doing. Okay. I don't have a paid version for Zoom, so this video will be 45 minutes or less. Um, if I start getting a lot of subscribers, then I might do that. But for right now, I don't. So if I run over, I will do another video, a part two, and post that on my YouTube page. So anyhow, let's get started. The first thing I like to do when I'm doing a demonstration for people is to just go over my materials. And if you are interested in receiving a list of materials and brushes that I use, you're welcome to leave me a message, make a comment, or whatever, and I will be happy to post that, or maybe I'll post that on my YouTube channel anyway. So anyhow, let's get started. I am painting on a 8x10 Pinelli Talati canvas today. They're very inexpensive. I buy them from Jerry's Artarama or Dick Blick, and they're canvas, cotton canvas that's glued to a hardboard. And for demonstrations and for things like that, these are very inexpensive and they're nice to paint on. So I always recommend them to students. So that's Pinelli Talati. I like the Talati one. Pinelli makes several different versions of panels, but I like the Talati. Okay, so also I'm using mostly bristle brushes. These are Robert Simmons brushes, and they're my favorite. Um, these are ruby satin brushes, and I order those off of Jerry's Autorama as well. And I've got a few other ones, but mostly that's the uh, general type of brush that I use. Okay. So here we go. I am going to um, make a gray. Let me go over these colors real quick. This is transparent red, oxide red. And I think this brand is Grumbacher. This is yellow ochre made by Winsor Newton. This is titanium white made by M. Graham Company. This is cadmium lemon, cadmium yellow light, cad red light, alizarin crimson, permanent alizarin crimson made by Gamblin Company. This is made by Rembrandt. These three colors are Rembrandt colors. This is cobalt blue, that's Winsor Newton, ultramarine blue, Rembrandt, and Viridian, Winsor Newton. So let me get started. I'm going to make a gray by mixing a little bit of my transparent red oxide with ultramarine blue. I'm going to add just a touch of white to it. to see what I have. I like to sketch in gray because if I may have to make corrections, it's easy to get off, and it doesn't leave a halo on your canvas when you're trying to remove it. So, okay, the first thing I do is section off my canvas. If you can imagine a line through the center of the canvas, and then, so that creates 4 little squares on your canvas. It's a little off, but it's okay. These 4 squares, if you find the center of those, this is called the golden mean. A lot of artists use this to determine where to anchor their main subject. Now, this is such a small painting. You know, the whole thing is pretty much going to be your center of interest. But if you've got a very large canvas with a complicated composition, it's good to do this and to maybe have a few items or 1 or 2 items that you're going to center in the golden mean, meaning one of these, anchoring it in one of these areas. Take that off. I've seen a lot of students when they start out doing this, they have, now this is for beginners, pretty much. I'm assuming you're a beginner if you're watching this or somewhere around there, but you don't want to have a subject that's dead center and very small. That's very boring, and you've got a bunch of space around here that you have to figure out something to do with it. So I try to encourage people to use I've got a view catcher here somewhere. What did I do with it? Anyway, you can use your fingers. Let me just show you. You can make a square and decide exactly, or this is a rectangle, a vertical rectangle. So you can just put your fingers up to make kind of a frame around your subject and decide exactly where you want these things in your picture plane. I hope that makes sense. I can explain that a little bit later better. So I see already I need to move that over. So I want to put the very top of that guy, that crock there, up there. Let's just sketch this guy on. And I've got this part a little too small. I'm going to do this as quickly as I can. Oops, I got that onion a little too large. You notice I draw in straight lines. For me and for most other artists, it is easier to, for instance, if you want to draw something that's round, it's really easier to start with these straight lines. That may sound weird, but it's the truth. Here's the center of that. I think I'm going to leave that back onion off. Now I could have it in there and just take it off the canvas. That's a possibility too. But it might look a tad odd. I guess going back, I would say, okay, that this crock is my center of interest mostly. So okay. With symmetrical objects like this, it's helpful to draw a center line and to measure yourself. So in other words, that's about right. I don't think we need that onion. I'm going to take it off for this demonstration. It's important to get a fairly decent drawing in the beginning. So, now, let's go back. I really don't want this dead center of my canvas. So I guess, actually, I need to move it over some. That's okay. Don't be afraid to move stuff around, reduce the size. Oops. I haven't done this in quite a long time, so we've got some transparent orange on the, but that's okay. Actually, it will take some of that white off. Okay. So I am going to remove that crock over just a hair and actually reduce the size of it a little bit. Or a lot. Okay. I think that might be a little better. So again, let me find the center point of this thing. Ooh, too small over here. Right. Okay. Now we might be able to put the other onion in, but honestly, I don't think we need it, so. Okay. Just correcting the drawing a little bit. This part is kind of important. And you get better at drawing by frankly, just by doing it. So if you don't feel like you draw very well, you could get yourself a sketch pad and just start practicing. There's some decent books on Amazon. Actually, some of the Walter Foster books are okay. Okay, now that's not perfect. It doesn't look exactly like that crock, but close enough. Okay. Now, what am I going to do with this? Well, there's a horizon line back here. Where the tabletop is. This part this is a gray top, gray cloth that I have on the um, table and a green background. Okay. So there is a shadow shape back here. My light source is from the top left up here. And I recommend that if you're going to start painting and try this, I would recommend getting one of those clip-on lights at at Home Depot or someplace like that. And set it up in front of your subject and paint from life. You can always paint from photographs, but it's so much better to learn by painting from life. And when you do that, you see these nuances. Let me just show you. So the nuances in this jug, you can see the shadow shapes and here's a shadow shape on this, a form shadow on this onion here. Actually, that onion is a little shaped more like that. Now, right now, that looks like an apple, but it won't. Okay. But you see the shadow shape and the reflected lights down here. And you just see more when you're painting from the real thing. So I always recommend people paint from life if you can. Okay. Move this over just a hair. So you can see the setup a little better. Top of this is a little fatter. Comes down more like that. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my very small bristle brush. This is probably a number 1 or 2. It's that Robert Simmons brush. I'm going to put it down and I'm going to grab a larger bristle. These are made of hog hair bristle. This is a number 6, and I could use even something bigger. This is a 6 as well. But I'm going to squint down at my subject, and I'm going to see where my lightest lights are and my darkest darks. Well, I see right offhand that there is this highlight right here is probably the lightest thing on the subject. And this is a cooler light. It's cloudy outside today, and the light is cooler. So I'm going to put a cool highlight right here, very, very light, right here, where my highlight is, because that, when I squint down, that is the lightest light on the whole thing. And that's another thing you really probably can't see in a photograph. You might be able to. Digital photographs are better now than they used to be. But anyway, it's better if you paint from life. You get my drift. So where is my darkest dark on this whole thing? Let me switch the camera again and show you the setup. There it is. So squinting down, this whole side of this, and there's a really dark space here, dark shape here. I think the darkest dark on the whole thing is maybe squinting down. Could be right there on the bottom of that crock. So I don't have a black on my canvas, but ultramarine blue, I'm using a little more paint. Ultramarine blue and transparent orange make a pretty dark tone. No white. We don't want to put any white in this. So I'm squinting at my subject. There's some real dark over here as well. Squint, squint, squint. And this is really dark over here. Get more paint out. That transparent orange mixed with blue like that really, if it gives a warm, some warm undertones too, which is good because this is a very warm subject. Even though the light source is cooler, kind of a blue light, not a blue light, but it's just a cooler light. It's a daylight bulb. So I'm squinting. All of this is really dark. Let me just carry this on around. And underneath here, very dark. And I'm just using straight paint on this. Okay, let's go back to my other camera so you can see what I'm doing. So, okay, here we are. I've got a ton of dark shapes here. All of this seems like it's not only the shadow shape, but it's the darkest thing on the canvas. So you want to start out with your lightest light and your darkest dark. Okay. Now, as the jug turns around, the value goes up, but just barely. And I want to warm it up. A little bit lighter than that right here, but very warm underneath that cool highlight. I'll add just a little bit of white to that to gray this off because it looks a little cooler, a little bluer right in here underneath that highlight. Now, that cloth, I said it's gray, and it is, but it has a teeny bit of a red tint in there. You might say, well, I don't see that. So I'm going to add some alizarin to my mixture for down here. There's a lot of reflected light going on, but it's not, unless you squint down and look at it with your eyes squinted, you're not going to see that. Blue. I'll put my dark shapes back in here. Straighten up my drawing. My drawing got a little off right here. I could straighten that up with my background, but all right. So if you see these mixtures here, they're not light white like that, even though I may see some reflected light coming up in here. I may do that. I can do that later. So, okay. There's also some a really dark shape right here. Now, for my students that might watch this, Excuse me. Where was I? What was I thinking? I lost my train of thought. They have a photograph of this subject that I gave them at their class. So you can look, it may not be exactly the same thing, but I'm putting in all my dark shapes, but I really got ahead of myself. I should have put in my cast shadows into my subject. So let me do that. This onion has a cast shadow that's a little too dark. And it's, like I said, that cloth has a teeny bit of red tint to it. So put a little bit of alizarin, maybe a purplish tint to it. And put in that cast shadow. And there's one really dark back here. From the jug. And then if I use blue and a little yellow, or you guys at my students, you guys can use transparent orange if you have it. But there is a dark, dirty green behind that jug. There's a cast shadow that's casting against the background. Now, it's not, well, it's pretty dark. If I squint down, it's pretty dark. And this side of the jug has just a hair of a reflected light on it. So let me just go ahead and put that in. The reflected light. Now, it can't be anything as light as what's in my light plane. Just soften a couple of edges. Okay. Now, this part of the top lip of the jug is just a hair lighter, as is now. I'm gonna move that highlight over and down a little because it does have that effect. And I'm going to add a little more blue to that. As it goes out, this highlight, it does reflect from the window. There's a little more blue in it. So cloudy out today. And highlight up here. I can see that this is a little misshaped. So I'm gonna have to fix that. Back to my dark, because it is very dark right here. I neglected to put it in. Drawing. Okay, this part of the handle is just a hair lighter, not a lot. So I'm going to use my warm tones here. Need to make some more. The jug itself is warm. However, there's a lot of blue light on it. I'm really just trying to paint what I see. And I still see that my pot is a little misshapen still. Ooh, I can hear the wind picking up outside. Okay, how much time do we have? I'm going to move the camera closer to my painting. Quick. Okay. I am going to stop there. I don't know how much time I have left. I've been trying to watch the clock, but I will resume the painting of this jug and also post a picture of it. So when I'm done. So I hope you tune in for the second part.